people that are so comfortable being in credit card debt fear nothing at all. Like, how do you sleep at night knowing that you owe thousands of pounds in credit card debt? I've had my first credit card since I was 18 years old, and anytime I spend over £500 on that card, I start getting heart palpitations. I'm seeing people say they're 50k in credit card debt, 20k in credit card debt. How are you racking that much debt in your 20s? I actually don't understand.
Welcome back, guys. Today we'll be looking at some bad financial decisions people are making. It goes beyond doubt to say that, people can't afford things anymore, and we want to be able to enjoy the luxuries in life without really worrying about it too much. So you've got things such as Klarna, your credit card, you can take loans, anything to get those things that you want. We're going to look at some stuff today where people have made silly or bad financial decisions that they do regret, or they don't regret, but they know they've made bad decisions. Let's have a look and let's crack on.
I'd spend 5-6k on designer clothes. I'd spend 8-9k on a holiday. I'd spend 12-13k on cars, all in the name of looking like I was gone. If I use that same money to invest aggressively into assets, properties, whatever the case may be, it's night and day. You would use the money that you generate from that to pay for the nice things. And that's one thing that a lot of rich people, that's what they have. We use our income to spend money on these things. They use their passive income. So they use their income to invest in assets, and then they use the money that they make from those assets to pay for the nice things. But we have it inverted, and I don't know if I did a good job of explaining that, but that was one of my biggest things. I would look at rich people, the designer, and I would use my income to just spend straight away rather than actually using that same money to buy assets.
Yeah, the thing is, we haven't been taught as, lower, middle, working class, whatever we are. And in this country, and most countries, to be honest, in the Western world, I'm not just including this as the UK, America, Australia, wherever you want to go, the same thing will persist, that those of us coming from lower middle income classes, we aren't told how to properly invest and use our money and to not spend on silly things, to be honest. In fact, it's one of the ways where banks and credit cards and stuff like that actually thrive, because if you pay a certain amount on your credit card, or you take a debt and you default on that and you don't make the minimum payments, or you don't clear it, they make so much money, they make so much interest on those purchases, on that debt that you have. So it's really in their best interest for you not to pay that. So, I made this same mistake myself. I'm not into clothes or anything particular in showing off, but I was into my sports cars growing up, and I spent silly money on cars, which was just a complete waste. Even as of a couple of years ago, I've kind of made the decision now to not spend on cars, and to not spend on things which have extortionate amount of money for not a lot of return, just for, even forget about the fact that you're trying to look good. It's something that makes you feel good, but intrinsically it will just set you up for being poor long term. It's just not the right way to think about things. So it's something I've mindfully abstained from, and it's something I suggest you thinking about as well. Whatever things that you spend money on, because you feel like it makes you feel good or it makes you look good or whatever, you want to think about ways of investing your money instead of just chucking it away, because every time your paycheck comes in and you're spending it on things, it's just less money that you've got to actually spend on the things that really matter. And yeah, big takeaway.
When I got my overdraft at student loan time,
Yeah.
after my first year, I rang up NatWest and said, I think something's gone wrong. You haven't reset my overdraft. I didn't understand how overdrafts worked. I thought that the next year of uni, they'd go, oh, we'll reset that to 0 and you can start again.
How deep in your overdraft were you?
The maximum, which was 1,200 quid at the time. So I thought it went up by another 1,200 each year.
Yeah.
And it was no, that's what you get.
Don't you think it's scary? Growing up, I didn't understand stuff about banks.
Didn't have a clue.
Things like that.
It makes sense now.
Do you know what's really funny about that? they record all your calls. I wonder if they ever like clip that and play that to their colleagues. I would.
I always think that when you ring up and they go, this might be used for training monitoring,
Yeah,
they
they
might use my
definitely
call.
have used you in a training course.
Hello.
Like, this idiot thought that his overdraft reset.
Yeah. How do you deal with really silly questions?
You know, the interesting thing is that I don't know where he got this information from, that his overdraft would reset over a year or it would increase by another £1,200 or so. It's really interesting to kind of think about the perspective that you think that's okay and that it'll kind of just work itself out a lot of the times, you know. And it's really apparent, you know, we don't know how he dealt with that situation, but inevitably he would have to pay off this overdraft. But I know a lot of people just kind of stick their head in the sand or think it will just magically go away. These situations don't go away, and it's just, you need to do your homework and you need to know what you're jumping into, you know, before progressing. And just assuming it will work out, you know, this means that this man will have ended up paying a lot of overdraft fees and charges because he wasn't managing his money properly, and this unfortunately would be the result of that. Yeah, really funny. I wish we could listen to the call as well, where he just becomes aware that his overdraft just isn't magically going to go away. It'd be nice if overdraft and debts and stuff like that could just go away. You just got to survive the year or so, but unfortunately that's not how it goes.
Just don't pay your loans back. You don't owe anybody anything anyway. You see, the money that you've taken out as a loan is yours. You created it. If people understood exactly how money works, you'd understand that you don't owe any.
No, you definitely owe money to people once you've taken out a bank loan, and the bank and whoever it is that wants that money will not waste any time collecting that, and they will do that by any means necessary. I don't know what this guy thinks he's saying. Let's see if it makes any sense or he's just baiting us.
Anybody any money? Like, let me ask you this question. When you take out a loan from the bank, where does that money come from? You see, we're sold this idea that when you take a loan out from the bank is somehow giving you something that they already own, and therefore you have to give it them back. But the thing is, when you take out a loan, that money didn't exist until you signed that piece of paper and gave the order to the bank to create that money. You created the money. Your signature created the money. You are the backing for the loan. And when you understand that you don't owe the bank anything because it didn't exist until you created it, why do you have to pay it back? And so they then threaten you with this idea, well, if you don't pay it back, you might get a CCJ and it might go on your credit report, right? Okay. And you see, this is the problem. We're told that debt is a good thing to have, but not told what debt should be used for. Debt should be used to buy assets, because once you've got assets that create money themselves, you then don't care about your credit report because banks will just throw money at you anyway. So don't put your debts back. Nothing's going to happen. And then make money.
I'm genuinely shocked. Is this guy an idiot? What do you mean you don't have to pay your debts back? Okay, so going off of this guy's understanding, let's say you get a 50 grand loan. You use that 50 grand loan to put a deposit on a buy to let. You don't pay that 50 grand back. What's the bank gonna do? They're gonna take back the asset that you've just bought to cover the 50 grand loan. I don't understand who's actually watching this or listening to this. This is insane advice that this guy's giving. Do not listen to that. This would be one of the worst financial decisions you've ever made. Yeah, sure, you can buy an asset or a property, but the bank is going to do whatever they want. Yeah, sure, if you don't have a mortgage, if you don't have anything to your name, and you take 50 grand and you buy some sort of asset that they can't take back that you used to generate money, fine. But the majority of people in the UK, you know, have some sort of mortgage, have some sort of responsibilities. If you want to buy a house in the future and you get a CCJ on your name of anything, you basically cannot get a mortgage. So you would just end up shooting yourself in the foot. You know, I remember when I was applying for a mortgage and I had a couple of car parking fines that went to CCJ. I just didn't pay them because I was like, well, why should I? You know, what are you going to get out of me? Until it came time to me applying for my mortgage and realising they weren't much, they were about £300 each, and I think I had 2 or maybe 3 of them. But then when it came time to the mortgage, they were like, well, you've got these CCJs on your name. It's a little bit of a, maybe we'll give you the mortgage, maybe not. And so I had to pay off those CCJs, get them cleared, and show them the evidence that I've cleared them to show that I am good with my debts and that I can, sort this out. I'm not waiting another 4 years or 3 years or whatever for those CCJs to get wiped off my record. And if you do get a CCJ while you've got your mortgage, guess what? Those providers will not give you a remortgage. If you've got your house paid off, guess what? They'll come after that as an asset. So I don't really know what this guy's going on about. He's a complete nutter. If you've got nothing, absolutely nothing to your name, go ahead, take out a loan and get a CCJ, because what can they take? Nothing. But if you do have assets, they will do everything they can to take those assets back off you, whether it's a car, whether it's a house, whatever it is. Stupid advice.
What's the biggest financial mistake you've seen someone else make?
My boys first year at uni just leased a Aston Martin.
Aston Martin as a fresher.
First year out of uni.
First year as a fresher?
No. First year out of uni, just leased an Aston and just got a mortgage in his dad's name on a 5-year mortgage. And to break even, I think he has to earn 85k next year.
What's he doing?
Dentist.
Dentist.
6.5 days a week. But he'll do it. He'll make the money.
Yeah.
But it's horrific.
Aston Martin, fresh out.
Fresh out.
What about you, bro?
Probably just seen some friends play the husband role a bit too early, with just doing things they don't
Paying
need to
for
do.
everything,
Exactly.
taking it.
Yeah, just I think over the top is not necessary,
Oof, taking out an Aston Martin and then getting a house on your dad's name. I guarantee he got it on his dad's name because he couldn't get the mortgage on his own name, because they were like, you're not earning enough money and you have this massive Aston Martin debt. He was probably paying $1,000 for that Aston Martin a month, which is crazy. I think some people get caught up in the inflation of, trying to show that they've made it. He's come out of uni, he's a dentist, but, as this guy's saying, 6.5 days a week, he's having maybe half a day, if that, to rest and recuperate for the rest of the week and back on the grind. Luckily he's got his dad that managed to get a mortgage for him, but you're paying probably a big house as well, so you've got a big mortgage, a big car payment to make. Yeah, you're making good money as a dentist, but you could have been enjoying your life. Instead, you're just working away, grinding away just to pay for these things to show that you've got money. It's an endless, stupid cycle, to be honest, and one that should be avoided at all costs.
What's the most expensive thing you've bought that you regret?
I bought a Louis Vuitton bag around like 10k.
10k?
Yeah, man, 10k. I wish I went holiday.
10k is crazy. Where'd you get it from, Timo?
Probably drum kit. I still can't play drums.
How much was your drum kit?
Oh, it's like a few £100.
And you just can't play them?
No, I can't.
Designer trainers, man.
Trainers?
Hella designer trainers that I just don't wear anymore, bro. They just be sitting there collecting dust.
What's your most expensive pair, would you say?
I've got quite a few pairs of Travises.
Travises, yeah.
Yeah, I've got quite a few pairs. You know what it is? They're grails, so they just
You don't want to ruin them, innit?
Yeah, but then it's like kind of a waste of money because they're just sitting there.
As long as you got the Instagram pic, though, that's the main thing.
Yeah, I got the Instagram pic. Don't worry about that.
The funny thing is, all of this is so consumeristic. I mean, the first guy said that he's paid $10,000 for a Louis Vuitton bag, and instead of saying that he could have used it for something else more important or better, he said, I should have gone on holiday instead. So his consumeristic mindset is still, I've got a bag, that's cool, I should have just gone on holiday instead. Not, I should have invested it in something else. And I understand that if you've got money to play with, then you should be able to spend it how you like. But it's clear that this man totally regrets that. But he wanted to go on holiday instead with that money. And this bag doesn't do anything. This guy, he's talking about his shoes. They don't do anything. They don't serve a purpose. It's just this consumeristic mindset of more. The other guy is saying he's bought a drum and kit set. You can still sell that back and make your money back. Sure, you can still sell shoes. A bag of $10,000 you probably can't sell back for $10,000. You're gonna make a loss on that, and he knows he is. But yeah, people are just obsessed with this consumeristic mindset of just having more and not being content with what you've got. And to be honest, a lot of that blame is society. You're constantly being pinged with ads from who knows what. On Instagram, you're being shown by all the big brands constantly that they've got offers on sales. This is something that has to be a learned mindset, not something that you just fall for and you just spend without having any sort of budget or thought to what income you've got versus what you can spend. It's tough, honestly. I do feel there's a severe lack of education, but you kind of have to educate yourself at this point. Nobody else is going to do it for you. However, that's going to wrap it up for today. Hope you enjoyed the clips that we've seen. As always, if you do like the content, give it a like, give it a subscribe, leave a comment on your own financial regrets. Let's discuss it, and yeah, catch you on the next one. Peace.